So this just started, right?
And
is this live?
He's been fantastic as the speaker. I appreciate it. We won the state, Matt, and you helped me a lot.
This is live? So wait a minute. So I was right within 10 minutes.
I
That's
think
crazy.
everybody
Wow.
knows. So we're working on that very hard.
What are
and,
the odds?
I think we'll come home with a winner for Michigan, okay?
Wow.
I just spoke with the Secretary of Defense. Sometimes we call him the Secretary of War. It used to be called the Secretary of War. They changed it.
That sounds way cooler.
We became a little bit politically correct.
Yeah, change it back.
But I think we're in great shape. We're going to be in great shape. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Matt. Congratulations. Great job. So we'll start with the first orders. And I think we have one for a man named Mike Huckabee. Does anyone know Mike Huckabee?
You can tell how happy he is.
He's going to be a great ambassador to Israel. And they're thrilled to have him, that I can tell you.
Give me 1 second.
Yes, sir. So the Senate confirmed Governor Huckabee to be your next ambassador to Israel earlier today. That's his commission as ambassador. And then we also have a transmittal letter to the President of Israel requesting that he accept Ambassador Huckabee's credentials.
He's going to be fantastic. He's going to bring home the bacon.
And then
Even though bacon isn't too big in Israel.
That's just the third
I
letter.
had to clear that up.
Well said.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to Mike.
Mike Huckabee. Next, sir, this is a big one. As you've consistently identified, restoring our maritime dominance as a nation is very important. From shipbuilding to having a merchant marine that's capable of supporting American military efforts, really up and down the line. Restoring maritime dominance has been a priority of this administration. This executive order, which was prepared primarily by your National Security Council staff and National Security Advisor Waltz, has a number of very significant policy steps, all aimed at restoring American maritime dominance and ensuring that we have the shipbuilding capacity and ability to compete globally, both militarily and in the civilian space as well.
And that could be a good one for Michigan,
It's about
too.
boats and some shit.
Because we're going to be spending a lot of money on shipbuilding. We're way, way, way behind. We used to build a ship a day, and now we
You missed the
do a
bacon
ship
joke?
a year practically.
Ah.
And, we have the capacity to do it, so we'll talk to you about that. Okay, Matt? You think about that. That's a natural.
He said your joke? Wait, what? We'll get to it.
Okay. Shipbuilding.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next executive order relates
Jesus.
to defense procurement. Our current defense procurement process has been criticized by many folks on both sides of the aisle as being too slow to adapt to new and changing technologies, not delivering the sorts of weapons and systems that our warfighters need in order to compete on the battlefields of the future. So with this executive order, we're going to be modernizing the procurement structure that the Department of Defense uses to
Killer
allow it
drones.
to more quickly adapt to changing circumstances
Yeah.
around the world. And we're also going to be launching a review of existing procurement programs to ensure that we're getting value for the money.
Gravity
to
weapons.
ensure that we're getting the best possible systems in the field.
All right.
Which are currently horrible. I tell you, they're horrible. That process is ridiculous what they do. They get the highest price and
You're right.
not even good-looking equipment.
Yep.
And we're changing it. We're going to change it to the best. So
It doesn't even look good.
this is very, very important.
You guys are going to Covenant weapons from Halo?
I want
Yeah.
to say hello to Brooke. Well,
sir.
look at Brooke. She got the cost of eggs down 87%. 87%. Governor.
Wow.
We have somebody that's done a great job at Department of Agriculture.
Gulf
and
of America.
Kristi Noem, who perhaps a few of them have heard of.
There it is.
She has done the most unbelievable job as somebody that's watching over our country at the border, and with Tom Homan and your whole staff of tremendous people. So thank you. Who would think that she is like meant for that job, huh? She's meant for it. So I just saw you there, both. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. We'll do it later, please.
Research rate upgrade complete. Hostilities
Thank you, sir. Lastly, in the defense space, one persistent issue that we've had in terms of the issue of foreign defense sales, that we're unable to provide weapon systems in a reliable, effective way to key allies of ours, and a key driver of that is inefficiencies and inconsistencies with the process by which we approve foreign military sales. So this executive order is going to direct your Department of Defense, Department of State, other relevant departments and agencies to rework our system of foreign defense
No
sales
wonder he
to
showed up
ensure that
yesterday.
we can provide equipment, creating American jobs.
Now it
and
makes
providing,
sense.
obviously, revenue to American defense manufacturers, but provide key military equipment to our key allies in a reliable, effective way.
All very important.
Makes sense. Yeah, sure does.
Okay?
Wow.
Production of the island is complete.
Because our budget is just about approved, and it's a big budget, and we want to spend the money properly, get the best equipment in the world. We rebuilt our military during my first term, rebuilt it entirely, beautiful. And then some was given away to Afghanistan so stupidly, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, I think. But it's still, we have to fix it up a little bit, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a good job of it, too.
Well, that would be good.
Next up, sir, we have a series of executive orders
Oh,
and
shit.
memorandum,
There's more?
all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major
Oh.
priority of your administration.
Hey, yo,
The
fuck
first
the
of these
rules.
is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
Yeah.
You can say it. Go ahead. What are the appliances?
I mean, it's everything, sir. It's
Sinks and
dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a
There's
huge
no
deal.
water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So with this executive order, we're effectively going to be reversing that set of regulations to ensure that Americans have choice in the consumer market. If they want a low-flow shower head, they can buy one. If they want a real deal shower head,
don't.
they should have the ability to get one.
You buy a new house, you pay a lot of money, and the developers...
Maybe I might shower once a
you're not
week
allowed
now.
to do anything more. They put restrictors on.
I'm just kidding.
They used to have a restrictor where you could take it out, but now they weld it in. And you take a shower
Yeah.
or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers where no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water. And we're going to open it up so that people can live, and we're going to hopefully have Congress approve it so it's memorialized. We're going to try and get all of these things, including straws, a little thing like straws.
Yeah.
Straws a month ago, where the paper straws were melting.
Fuck
They
paper
were
straws.
dissolving. They weren't working well. And we went back to the plastic straws.
Fuck
We're going to
dolphins.
get Congress to memorialize just about everything we've
Yeah.
done here, because most of it's common sense. But the water is
Right.
horrible. When you go into anytime you see a new faucet, you know it's going to be a long wash of the hands. And so we're changing. It's a big deal. I did it in the first administration. Biden came in his first week.
Crazy hill to
And
die
he had
on.
no idea what he was doing, but somebody told him to do it.
Yeah.
And his first week, he put the restrictions on all the bathroom utilities. Even in areas that have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You see those areas all the time with the flooding. So we're doing that, and we're going to get all of the things that you've seen. I think we set a record. We're up to almost 200 and 500 amendments. Nobody's ever done that. We're going to get them approved by Congress so they're memorialized. And we look forward to doing that. Very important. And Congress is going to start working on it as soon as we get the big, beautiful deal done. The big, beautiful deal is important. The biggest
So
tax
they're
cuts in the history of our
deregulating
country.
showers.
That's important.
You can shower as much as you want now. All right. Great. Make showers great again. I hear there are a lot of people that enjoy that.
It's a 10.
You think a good shower.
We rate the signatures. That was a 10. That's why.
This is another executive order relating to deregulation, sir. There are a lot of regulations on the books that either promote monopoly directly or prevent new market
Oh.
entrants. Prevent
This
entry
is a
into
huge
given
thing.
Market.
Yeah.
The net effect of that is very negative for consumers.
Yep.
What this executive order is going to do is direct your departments and agencies
This is
to
massive.
work with the FTC, with the Attorney General, with the Department of Justice, to ensure that the regulations we have on the books don't function as anti-competitive barriers to new market entrants. The net effect of all of that is going to hopefully be market forces that redound to the benefit of consumers and ordinary Americans, as opposed to monopolistic businesses.
I said yesterday he was a great, great student at Harvard before it went bad. It's gone really bad. Now they're teaching their students mathematics, basic mathematics. Can you believe it? So what does that mean? They're allowing people in that can't add two and two? What's going on at Harvard?
I went to law school there, sir, and it was pretty liberal when I was there, but it's gone way off the deep end in recent
I don't
years.
know if you read that. They're teaching them basic mathematics, people that got accepted to Harvard. How come they got accepted if they don't have mathematics?
Wait, what?
And we're holding back $8 billion.
They don't know
Can you
math?
believe it?
Victory is at hand.
We give Harvard $8 billion.
For what?
And we're holding back Columbia. We're holding back a lot of the schools
Good.
because they were woke.
Fuck them.
And they've hurt a lot of people. Okay? Thank you.
Requiring freshmen to take
There
remedial
are a
math
large
class?
number of regulations on the books. These are regulations that are currently in effect that we believe blatantly violate the law, blatantly violate Supreme Court precedent that
Okay.
otherwise are just blatantly illegal. So what this presidential memorandum does basically just directs the heads of your departments and agencies to follow the law and to cease enforcing regulations that are blatantly illegal or unconstitutional.
Like what? No example. Surely. Yeah,
It's really very important that we get these memorialized.
that's very vague.
Because
I wonder why.
Very important.
Yeah, why could it possibly be vague?
Yes, sir. This is the last of our deregulatory EOs for the day. This
What is this, like 7 in
zero-based
one day?
Regulatory budgeting. The idea here is that over time, regulations accumulate on the books and in the Federal Register, and people aren't taking a close, detailed look at what's on the books and clearing them out as times change or as regulations become dated or ineffective. What this executive order is going to require is each of your departments and agencies to scrutinize on a continuing rolling basis all of the regulations they actually have on the books and sunset those that either no longer serve a purpose or the departments and agencies can't identify a specific reason for keeping them active.
Okay?
Well, that's probably a good idea. Yeah. It's actually so needed. Yeah, it's probably like horse regulations that have to do with cars and shit like that. I don't know if they still have any of those, but probably some variant of that. You shower now with clean coal?
Thank you, sir.
No.
Sir, you've taken action against a number of law firms that have in one way or another been involved in the weaponization of government or actions of lawfare. One of those
Executive
law firms
orders.
is Sussman Godfrey, similar to what we've done previously with other law firms.
Put 'em in jail?
This is an executive order that takes certain measures against Sussman Godfrey to ensure that they can't access government resources, government buildings, scrutinizing certain aspects of their practices as a law firm, given their previous activities.
Yeah, the tarnished, yeah.
And we signed with many law firms, the ones that we thought were inappropriate, and they've all agreed to pay $1 million. They went for some pretty big numbers. I guess we have a total. What do we have? What's the total about? What's the total right now, Steve? About, would you say?
Getting close to probably 600-700 million now, I would think. We've multiple at 100 million, some at 125 million. So the numbers are adding up. We're going to be close to $1 billion soon.
Wow.
One at $40 million. Millions of dollars an hour. But they don't admit guilt. Remember that, they don't admit guilt. But, and we have another 5 to go, I think, 5 of them. And this one is we're just starting a process with this one.
Yes, sir.
Because there were some very bad things that happened with these law
Project
firms.
2025 is here.
Involved in the election misconduct.
Oh yeah.
Weren't they all involved in the election of this guy? I think they were all involved.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, so they went from $40 million to $125 million, and most of them are at about $100 million. Right? All right.
Is it fascism yet? Unfortunately not.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next presidential memorandum we have for you
More?
relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during the
Jesus.
previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information.
Put him in jail.
It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his egregious behavior during your previous
Bro, he's getting his
And I
chat
had no
logs
idea
pulled
who
up
this
right
guy
now.
was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN or one
Yeah.
of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on
Holy
all the
shit.
time saying that the president is the president. I had no idea. It's like, you know, in this office you have a lot of young people, and they're here. I'll see him for 2 minutes, and I assume he was in the office, but I barely remember him. Barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies, and it was like he was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what he did, he wrote a book, Anonymous, said all sorts of lies, bad things. And I think it's
They're gonna investigate
I
him?
think
Yeah.
it's like a traitor. Like it's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, you know, I'll be here, and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least, but I didn't know anything about him. And he wrote a book, Anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction. Had a lot of publicity. Got himself a nice job with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. They seem to be able to sustain. But if that happened to other presidents, I mean, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat president, I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like this can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book about very confidential meetings? And, you know, because they happen to
Damn,
be
so
one
he
of a
might
lot
be-
of
this
people
guy
in
might
the
be
room,
done.
They go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal. And everybody's saying, who is it, who is it, who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of publicity off that one. He's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
Man, so this guy's fucked.
Item is complete.
He's seriously fucked. Yeah. Oh my god.
Item ready.
The treason. Yeah, bro. So this guy got his logs pulled up on the
guy.
Oval Office.
Similarly, sir, Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This
Oh,
is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the
Oh,
context
jeez.
of COVID-19. This is it's a similar presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It addresses his access to government, existing clearances he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
So these guys are getting pulled
This
up.
is another one.
Last words.
I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him.
Oh,
But
man.
I didn't know him. And he came out right after. the
Finally
election,
holding them
which was a
accountable.
rigged
Thank
election.
God.
Badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country.
Yeah.
Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face.
Sounds pretty bad.
And this is all because of a
Will they get permabanned?
incompetent group of people that
I think
pursued
Miles
this.
could get permabanned.
And that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was
Possible.
saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the 51 intelligence agents.
Is this more about the
that
election
worked
being fake?
From all of the different scamming
Uh-oh.
operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots,
Oh,
same-day voting,
oh,
voter ID,
Oh,
and one other thing.
true.
A vote, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country.
To place a bid.
You get a citizen
like a receipt?
piece of paper that says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID
That's
and you
smart.
want paper ballots.
That way dumb
And
people
you really
can't
want
get it.
same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring them back in a few days. And then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders.
Just saying they don't already have that? I don't know.
Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't
Except
have
me.
a free press. We have a very dishonest press.
Except me.
This is an honor. We're going to find out whether
But
or
yeah,
not
everybody else, so
he
true.
was right. This was a disgraceful
Absolutely.
election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something. And almost right from the beginning, and he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered.
That's
He's
a
the
lot.
fraud. He's a disgrace.
Who's he talking about? I
So
don't
we'll
know.
find out
Some
whether or not
fucking
it was a
retard.
safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. There's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was, so thank you very
So
much.
they're signing
Those last
executive
two are
orders
very
to just
important, I
fuck
think,
some
for the
dude's
country.
life up?
Thank you, sir. And lastly, we just have 3 proclamations. These are the sorts of things that most presidents use an auto pen for. You obviously
Proclamation.
don't like using the auto pen much, if at all. The first of these is National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day. This is one that you did in each of, I believe, each of the previous the years
like
of your
John
previous
McCain.
administration. Recognizes former prisoners of war.
Yeah.
More generally, this proclamation is written to acknowledge the great steps you've made both in this administration and your previous administration on behalf of veterans, homeless veterans, others who have suffered in that way, and basically stating that it's a priority of your administration to ensure that veterans and homeless veterans are cared for properly.
Good. And you know what, they ought to find out who was using that auto pen.
That's a great
Because
question.
whoever that person was, he or she,
That's the president.
was like the president of the United States. And I'm against auto pens. I think auto pens are not a good thing, especially when you're talking about documents like we're signing today. If he can't sign, then he can't be president. It's pretty simple. Let's see whether or not he could sign. But I think that should be tested. I really think that should be tested. It's another one. And you may think about it, because how can a man that, did he really know that when they gave all false
shit.
information on the council? I mean, the whole unselect committee of political lunatics, they destroyed all the information. You can't get any information. They went for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, screaming and ranting and raving. Democrats plus 2 worse than Democrats. You had Liz Cheney, and crying Adam Kinzinger, crying Adam. Every time I looked at him, he was crying. The guy was a crier. But you can't do that. You just can't do that. So we're going to find out a lot. I think we're going to find out a lot. These last 3 or 4 have been very.
He's been he's been making up some new names nowadays, right?
We'll consider it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But I don't think a president should be allowed to use an auto pen when they're signing very, important legislation. I think a president should.
How the hell
sign
is
it,
this guy
not
a
use
president?
auto pen. And we're going to find out whether or not he knew what the hell he was
People
doing. I'm sure
voted
at this
for it.
point he'll say, I signed it. They'll tell him what to
Yeah.
say. But
Commerce
to
upgrade complete.
give pardons to
Exotics have been
people
unveiled by our
that
scryers.
destroyed all the information. If you destroyed information on a civil case,
Oh,
just a civil case, not a criminal case, a civil case, they put you in jail for that. And they found out that Pelosi was the one that was in charge of the security of the Capitol. She knew all about it, and she admitted her guilt to her daughter, who was a movie documentary person.
This is strong.
January
Daughter's
6th.
not too happy about that. I'm sure Crazy Nancy's not too happy. But we found out all the things, everything. And we go for the information. Sir, we've destroyed all of that information. If I haven't destroyed it, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I guarantee you that. I'd be sitting someplace else. So I think it's something that we should really
Right.
look at because that's so important. The whole concept of an auto pen. Because whoever's, auto pens are run by somebody. Whoever ran the auto pen was president of the United States. And I would be willing to bet that Biden didn't know, probably didn't know anything about any of it. Very dangerous, very dangerous.
He just
You gonna
didn't.
check that out, right?
Yes, sir. Working on it right now.
Damn.
This is just another proclamation, sir, declaring National Crime Victims' Rights Week. You've obviously made
Do you
it
think
a
in his
major
third term
priority
he's
of
still
your
going to talk about
administration
Biden?
to, track down and at times deport criminals who have committed violence on our streets, who have victimized so many people. This is an annual proclamation that hopefully gets Americans to remember that when crimes occur, there are real victims, there are real people who are affected, and there are people who suffer as a result.
Okay, it's very important. Thank you.
Harmony research complete.
I just want to add, so we're working very hard with Democrats, the governor, with Matt Hall, with a lot of transportation, Sean, and all of the people trying to keep Selfridge Air Force Base open, strong, thriving. And I think we're going to be successful, Governor. I think we'll be very successful at that.
Bro
We're
is not
some
getting
good
a third
feedback
term?
from Pete Hegseth and Department
Okay.
of Defense. And they're talking about
All right.
F-16s, they're talking about F-35s, et cetera. It's a great piece of property, it's a great
Yeah.
location, and it's a great state.
Planet
So I think we're going to come back with a very good answer. We're also working on a certain fish that's taken over a beautiful lake called Michigan, right?
What?
And that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
There's a fish?
Do you want to just talk about that?
The smell?
President, yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for caring so much about Michigan. We've been working a
Oh,
long
we still
time.
got the FIFA
We
thing.
couldn't get Joe Biden to do anything about either one of these issues, particularly Selfridge Air Force Base. It'll be critical to Michigan's economy and our security when you're able to deliver us another mission there. But on the Asian carp, for years, when Obama was there, we could never get anyone to do anything about this invasive species that's going to destroy our Great Lakes. You know how important recreational fishing and so much of that is to our state. Because of your work, we're hopeful that we'll get a solution there and we'll get that barrier built so we can protect our Great Lakes. So thank you, Mr. President.
And they're very
Asian
powerful
carp?
fish. I mean, I see them, they jump out of the water, they jump at the fishermen.
Let me see.
I've never seen anything like it. And has this gotten into any of the other lakes yet? Because you would think it would be pretty easy because they're all sort of connected.
Oh, shit.
That's why we're working so hard to make sure that, we work with the Army Corps and erect a barrier so that the Asian carp can't get into Lake Michigan. It'll
Holy
devastate
fuck.
the ecosystem, the economy, tourism, and it's 20% of the world's fresh waters in the Great Lakes, Mr. President, which is why it's so important that as a nation, we protect the pristine waters. Yep.
Yeah, fuck
And,
him.
all of a sudden, I assume the lakes are all interconnected, right? So at some point, they're going to be in
Yeah.
the other lakes. And so we're going to work hard on that. I spoke with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have a method. It's a pretty gruesome method, but it's a method, and I think they know what to do. So we're going to work on that very hard. And thank you, Governor, very much. Sort of a bipartisan thing when you get right down to it. It's a very expensive thing, actually. It costs a lot. I looked at the numbers. I said, well, but we have to save Lake Michigan because these fish, they eat everything in the way, including the other fish. They eat everything. Are people endangered by the fish?
I think I mean, they're going to eat all the fish there. We won't be able to fish anymore, and that's a big deal in Lake Michigan. There's a lot of fishing, recreation, so
Go out
it's
there, blow
going to
them
be a
up.
problem there. But you're right, it's bipartisan, sir, but you're the one taking action on these issues. We couldn't get Biden to do it on Selfridge. This thing has been delayed for, 15 years where we were trying to do it. It started under Obama where we were trying to do it. He wouldn't do anything about it. So
What a
we
surprise.
appreciate you paying so much attention to this and taking action,
Well,
sir.
I would, and the governor, in all fairness, called me about it. I had seen it, and she called me, and John James called me, and we spoke with your office. And it's, I want to put that down. Really is bipartisan. It's great to see it, actually. It's great to see that, and that includes Selfridge too. And we're going to get it done, and we'll all stand there together and cut a ribbon. Okay, Gretchen? Good. That's good.
We'll
Thank
cut a
you.
ribbon when we kill all the fish. All
I'm glad
right.
you brought it up, and I'm glad you brought it up, Matt. Appreciate it.
Carp
And I
can
know
get
you two
giant.
along
Not
pretty well,
anymore.
For the unity.
About 70% of the time.
Oh, jeez.
All right, good. We'll have something to celebrate pretty soon. So pretty sure about that. Okay. Thank you, Gretchen, very much. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, where does the TikTok deal stand, given what we've seen, the tariffs,
Moving
China?
along, but obviously, I would say right now China's not exactly thrilled about signing it. We have a
Yeah.
deal with some very good people, some very rich companies that would do a great job with it. But we're going to have to wait to see
I bet.
what's going to happen with China.
Mr. President,
No, it's on the table very much. I think China's going to want to do it, actually.
Can you explain more of what you believe is the end game with China? Are you waiting for President Xi to blink? How do you think this is all going to be resolved?
Look, for years we've been ripped off and taken advantage of by China and others, in all fairness. But
Oh, China.
But China, that's the big one. And
Real big.
just one of those things. We're making
One of those things.
$2 billion a day right now, this country.
$2 billion a
$2
day.
billion a day with tariffs.
Wow.
And they were making $2 billion a day.
Now they're
We'll
not.
be making more. And now when you see what happened today, I don't know if it's still there. I looked an hour ago, but we were up like close to 3,000 points. Nobody's ever seen a day like that. I think that's a record, isn't it, fellas? Definitely. Is that a record?
Definitely.
Who would have
Absolutely,
a record
sir.
like that
100%.
after watching, but because the geniuses of
For
the
sure.
world, they get it. Our country's very strong. We were left a very, very weakened
Yeah.
country, both economically, financially, because of all of the tariffs and all of the other companies just raiding us and ripping us off, and also at the border where 21 million people were allowed to come in. Many of those people were criminals. And but the people that do this for a living, some of them are very smart, and some of them aren't smart at all. But these guys are very smart, and my group is very smart. My
Right.
group is smart, and you've done so amazing on the border. I read the other day that there were 9 people, and hundreds of thousands 2 years ago with Biden, and we had 9. We had it down to 9, and they were all let in for medical reasons. They were in bad shape. We let them in for medical reasons, not even for anything else. So you've been amazing. But that's a big thing. I think it's one of the greatest
One of the greatest things.
problems that I've never seen anything like it. Open borders. The whole world was emptied out. Prisons from all over the world.
I thought
from
this
the
was about
Congo
TikTok.
in Africa, from Africa to
What?
Asia, a lot in South America, but it wasn't just South America. Prisons emptied out.
What about TikTok?
And I said it outside with the drivers before, but El Salvador has been amazing, a job that the president's done. He's coming to see me next week, and we look forward to that.
Take a
But
detour.
That's really been amazing. Yes.
Mr. President, the EU also announced increases in tariffs today. Why not treat...
Bad timing for them. That's bad timing.
Why not
They said,
They didn't put them in. No, they threatened us, but they picked a later date, which our expectation is it's going to be later still.
Okay.
They roached
I'm glad
out.
that they held back.
You said you were watching the market.
If this was the strategy all along to bring them to the table, why did you instruct or advise, or maybe they did it on their own, some of your top aides to say this is not a negotiation, to hold the line, that they were going to hold the line, that you were not going to change
Well,
your
a lot
mind?
of times it's not.
Are
a
you fucking
negotiation until it
retarded?
is. And that happens.
What do you
And,
mean?
You know, I said outside that you have to have flexibility to do it right, and that's what
What a
we have.
stupid
We
question.
brought everybody to the table, and it may not be a negotiation. It may not last.
A moron.
Things may be asked that I think are not fair to us. Look, we've been ripped off by essentially everybody for 35 years. This is not just a new thing. And Roger Penske just left. He's a great gentleman, great man, actually. And he said no other president would have had the guts to do this. And I believe that's right. They wouldn't have done it. They should have done this a long time ago. A long time ago they should have done it. I started it
For sure.
with China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes
That's a lot of
from
money.
China in my first term. And we had the greatest economy. We were up 88% on the stock market. That was the greatest ever in the history of our country. But it had to be done. It's something that had to be done.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Which countries will be negotiating first? Do you have any criteria? Because, for example, Brazil and the UK, they do not have deficits with the US. They have a surplus. They do not have a surplus. They have deficits with the US. So what is the criteria? And also, would you consider talking or meeting with Xi Jinping?
Oh, sure. He's a friend of mine. I like him. President Xi, I like him. I respect him. But they haven't treated our country right. Sure, I'd meet with him. On the other countries, we have Japan is here, and South Korea is here, and others are here, and we're trying to see them. From what I hear, it's much more than 75. I said 75 plus. So many. It's everybody wants to make a deal, actually, and. You know, we want to do what's right for our country. We also want to do what's right for the world.
What question?
The world is important. I mean, it's the world, right? And I think we're going to make a lot of people very happy. And I think investing in the United States of America will be the greatest investment that anybody's ever made.
We still expect to see the sectoral tariffs for the pharmaceuticals, steel. Is that something you're still considering moving forward?
Yeah, well, I will be, because we want them coming back. You know, we realized during COVID that we don't make our drugs and our pharmaceuticals in this country. So I realized that, and it was a big realization. We had to go to China to get drugs. We had to go to other places. I won't even mention the names, but we had to go to other places. We don't make it, and that's because we let them leave. And now if they want to come back, we're going to put tariffs on the pharmaceutical companies, and they're going to
Make
come
America's
back.
showers
Come
great
back.
again.
I'm not going to pay them any money like Biden with the chip deal. That chip deal was horrible. They give billions and billions of dollars to chip companies. All they have is money. They have so much money. And they give billions of dollars, and they're just going to keep the money. They're not going to spend it. And the only thing that's going to bring them back is you say, we have a barrier. You have to pay 50% or 100% or 200%. And if they have to pay that, they're going to say, we're not going to pay that. We're going to build here. And that's what happened. We're the biggest, most prestigious chip company in the world, spending $200 to $300 billion. Think of that, $1 billion to build essentially one massive plant. It'll be one of the largest plants in the world.
It was like 2 weeks ago, actually.
Very quickly, we're going to get them energy. We're going to get them the electricity they need and the energy that they need. And it'll be approved by Lee Zeldin, a total professional. And it'll be approved very quickly. And they'll get their zoning very quickly. They'll have everything done in a matter of months.
Thank you, sir. You've procured a record amount of private sector investments since your election, $7 trillion. You talked about the importance of all that. Can you talk about how these investments will have a positive impact on families who felt like the previous economy left them behind, and why your executive orders on coal yesterday is so important?
What about McDonald's and pizza?
Good, thank you. And
what about that?
Which is correct. We have, I would say, more than $7 trillion now, right, of investment coming in. Apple is coming in for $500 billion alone. We have other companies coming in with massive numbers. We have car companies that are coming in. No, we've never seen anything like it. Maybe in the 1940s or 50s or something, but we've never seen anything like it. They had 3 plants canceled in Mexico. Not that we want to hurt Mexico, but we're for us. And that's what my job is. It's not to take care of other countries.
Trump was going to drone strike Mexico?
I want to help other countries as much as I can, but we have to take care of America first. And it's about America first. So we have many, many companies coming in that would have never come in if we didn't win the election and then put the tariffs on. And they're coming in because when they build in the United States, there are no tariffs. You don't have to pay any tariffs. So instead of paying 30, 40, 50% or 25%, but it could go a lot higher in some of the industries. So we have steel mills right now that are raging. The steel industry was gone. If I didn't put the tariffs on steel, because China was dumping massive amounts of steel in my first term, and I put tariffs on it, I saved the steel industry, but now it's going to thrive, maybe like never before. I mean, if you go back to U.S. Steel from 90 years ago, it's incredible. It's the #1 company in the world for a long time. That's why we don't want to see it go to Japan. And we love Japan, but U.S. Steel is a very special company. We don't want it to go to Japan or any other place. So we're working with them, and I don't know if they need any money now. I'll be honest with you, they hit gold. They hit gold because if you look at it, they have such orders for steel now. It's incredible. What's going on in our country is incredible with respect to plants. So we lost 90,000 plants and factories from the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of this world.
That's pretty good.
But certainly in the history of trade. There's never been a worse trade deal. We were able to cancel that. We had to get approval from Congress. It was like a disastrous curse because you had to go to Congress to get it terminated. You couldn't just terminate it because it was a bad deal. And you had people in Congress that didn't want to do it because they had other reasons, maybe bad reasons. They're mostly not there anymore, those people. But it's amazing what's happened. I appreciate that question because it's incredible. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. $7 trillion, and it's much more than that because, these are places that we know. $7 trillion is unheard of. I never looked at the Biden numbers.
Are we getting that much money?
You could go a whole year, and it was peanuts. Everybody was leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving, and that means jobs are leaving. And so we're not playing games. We're going to make this country greater than ever before.
Wow.
Thank you for that question.
Mr. President, it seems that China's made some... Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. For the past few days, we've heard from this administration no pause.
Yeah.
Was this idea of doing a pause, did that just come about this morning?
He invented it.
Tell us exactly what came into consideration for you and your advisors.
Yeah.
For a period of time, I wouldn't say this morning. Over the last few days, I've been thinking about it. I've been dealing with Scott, with Howard, with some other people.
It was a vibe, yeah. It came to him in a dream.
And, I think it probably came together early this morning, fairly early this morning. Just wrote it up. We didn't have the use of, we didn't have access to lawyers, or we just wrote up. We wrote it up
just
from our
decided
hearts,
we're going to do it.
It was written from the heart. And I think it was well written.
He's actually
too,
winging the whole
it was
thing.
Written from the heart. It was written as something that I think was very positive for the world and for us.
Wow.
And we don't want to hurt countries that don't need to be hurt, and they all want to negotiate.
Yeah.
The only problem is, you can only do so many at one time. It's like, we want to do it right. We want to get it right. We want to take care of them. But
Believe in the heart of the cards.
So, but this was something certainly we've been talking about for a period of time, and we decided to pull the trigger, and we did it today, and we're happy about it. I didn't know it would have that kind of an impact, but it's, I think they have the biggest increase in the history of the stock market. That's pretty good. That's pretty. You're almost.
Is that
keep
true?
Going,
Probably
be
not,
back
right?
To where it was 4 weeks ago. But it was a sick market 4 weeks ago. Because the trade was sick. It was only a question of time. I don't blame the tariffs. I think the tariffs just sort of magnified what was happening. It was sick. Biden allowed these people to get away with murder. Biden allowed China to just take advantage of us.
Biden wasn't even there. He was asleep.
With China, $1 trillion deficit. So that was going to only be a matter of time. I think the tariffs brought it out faster, and they magnified the problem. But I think this was a problem that existed far beyond tariffs. This was a systemic problem. And
who do you guys think the real president was with Biden?
Maybe to a large extent we have, because we've revealed it. and we've revealed it very strongly. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So it seems China has made some serious missteps here in these negotiations, and Secretary Bessent said earlier you may have goaded them into a tough position here. I'm wondering, are you in a way putting together a coalition against China
Yes.
in terms of trade?
Yes, you are. Yes. That's exactly what you're doing.
And I don't blame China.
It's
for what happened.
obvious.
I blame the people sitting right at this desk, right behind this desk, or another desk. You get your choice of 7. I happen to pick the Resolute. But I blame the people sitting behind in this chair or behind this desk for being stupid, incompetent, or not having courage. This should have been done years ago. This should have been done before Obama, in all fairness.
Wow.
Not only Biden, Obama. It should have been done many years ago. This started with the World Trade Organization, which was owned by China. It was owned and paid for by China.
That's not good.
They didn't even have to
Bush?
do things. They considered them
We don't blame
a
Bush
nation
for
that
anything
was
for a while.
Undeveloped.
Besides, you know.
They said they were a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation too, if you think about it. Look at our inner cities. Look at what's happened. I think we're starting from ground zero there, right? So we're a developing nation too. No, I don't. I know it's.
I don't know why you did it either.
Take heat for saying it, but I blame the people sitting at this desk more than I blame China. If China can get away with, they got away with taking hundreds of
you
billions,
can't hate on a
billions
player.
of dollars right out of our pocket.
Can't hate on them.
Because our people here were stupid. They were stupid people.
Oh.
Maybe corrupt. I don't know. I don't know how you can be that stupid. How do you get to be president and you're stupid? But they certainly weren't courageous. And they allowed this to happen.
Oh,
And
man.
with Japan and with many other countries that took advantage of us. I mean, we had deficits with almost every country. I used to read these things. First term, I'd read them. I'd actually read the agreements. I'd say, how could anybody agree to this stuff?
Yeah.
So certainly they were rough, and they were tough, and they were smart. And you can blame them, but I really blame the people that allowed them to do it, because you know, if you could read first grade and you could read these agreements, you'd say these are terrible deals.
So
I actually used
Biden's
to say,
retarded, and he made us lose a lot of money.
allow deals like this to be made for our country.
Is his second stream today?
And maybe it's people that didn't care. Maybe it's people that weren't courageous. Maybe it's people that were corrupt. I don't know. But I blame those people more than I blame anybody else.
Yeah, you can't hold it against China.
You've been very specific in saying that you would like the EU to purchase U.S. energy. Is there something specific that you would like China to do?
Well, you'll be hearing about that. Yeah, there are a lot of things I'd like China to do.
There's a lot of things
that I want China to do, and I'll be telling China what that is. Not you, but I'll be telling China.
You said the other day that if they do not agree to a potential nuclear deal, that it would be very dangerous for them. What specifically?
Well, they
did you
can't have a
mean?
nuclear
Did
weapon.
you
that's
mean
Iran.
military action though if they don't agree?
Oh, we're gonna blow them up.
Oh, if necessary? Absolutely. Yeah.
I told you guys. I told you.
You're talking
You
about
didn't
with
want to
Iran?
listen.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want something definitive this weekend, or do you see this as the start of a process?
It's a start.
Yep.
We have a little time, but we don't have much time because we're not going to let them have a nuclear
Absolutely.
weapon. Can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And we're going to let them thrive. I want them to thrive. I want Iran
Didn't
to
Russia
be
say
great.
they wouldn't defend
The
Iran?
only thing they can't have is a nuclear weapon. They understand that. You know, the people are so incredible in Iran, and they're so smart. They're very smart people. But you know, they're in a rough situation, rough regime. But they understand, and the leaders understand. And I'm not asking for much. I don't. They can't have a nuclear weapon, and I've said that. And I was a little bit surprised because when the election was rigged, I figured they'd get the weapon because with me they were broke. They were broke. They had no money because of the sanctions. Nobody could buy oil. We did that to Venezuela just recently, and we'll do it to other countries if we have to. I want to see Russia and Ukraine make a deal.
Rick Iran, I
Make a
guess.
deal.
Yep.
When schools get blown up and bad things happen, like I'm hearing about, it's no good. I hope we're going to make a deal with Russia and Ukraine. But with Iran, if it requires military, we're going to have military. Israel will obviously be very much involved in that.
So we're
The
gonna
leader of
blow them
that.
up through Israel?
But nobody leads us. We do what we want to do.
When would
the clock run out on the talks? Before you might, when would the talks need to conclude before you might?
Get some use out of that money we send them.
When you start talks, you know if they're going along well or not. And I would say the conclusion would be when I think they're not going along well. So that's just a feeling.
Mr. President, on the subject of U.S. troops stationed in Europe, do you have any plans to reduce the number of U.S. troops in Europe or in other NATO countries?
All right.
Well, good. I mean, it depends.
The vibe president.
We pay for military over in Europe. You know, we don't get reimbursed by much. South Korea too. So it will be one of the things we discussed. That's unrelated to trade, but I think we'll make it part of it because it makes sense. Be nice to wrap it all up in one package for each country. You know, it's nice and clean, and we have plenty of law firms. These are great law firms that we signed with, the best. And I think part of the way I'll spend some of the money that we're getting from the law firms, you know, in terms of their legal time.
South Korea is our vassal state, are they?
If we can do it, I think we can do it. Using these great law firms to represent us with regard to the many, many countries that we'll be dealing with. We'll have good lawyers representing us, but we want to have good lawyers, and these are the best, considered the best lawyers in the world, right? I mean, considered the best in the world. I don't know. They just went off a little bit.
Mr. President, 2 questions. On Iran, do you have an update on who will be participating or conducting these conversations? Will Witkoff be there on Saturday for these direct talks? And on China, some economists are saying that right now is technically embargo on China with 125% tariffs. Are you concerned of escalation beyond the trade war with China?
No, I'm not concerned. I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both. But, you know, we've been treated so badly for so many years. Again, we allowed that to happen.
Oh, jeez.
We've been treated so badly for so many years. But, no, I don't expect that. I think President Xi is one of the very smart people of the world, and I don't think he'd allow that to happen. And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just in terms of basic escalation, which is what you said, no, I think that President Xi is a man who knows exactly what has to be done. He's a very smart man. He loves his country. I know that for a fact. I know him very well. And I think he's going to want to get to a deal. I think that's going to happen. We'll get a phone call at some point, and it'll be off to the races. It'll be a great thing for them. It'll be a great thing for us. It's going to be a great thing for the world and for humanity.
Do you have plans to meet with Putin in Saudi Arabia?
At some point, I will. At some point. We'll have to see. I mean, we have to get there right now. You know, we got to get there. In the meantime, they're losing 2,500 on average young people every single week. Think of that. 2,500 people a week. It's not even conceivable.
Nuclear bunker stock's about to go crazy. I have a feeling that won't matter.
Yes.
Tariffs on China even more before they come to the table or give you a phone call?
I can't imagine it. No, I can't imagine. I don't think I'll have to do it.
Great.
I don't think we'll have to do it more.
That way they let their guard down, and then he can do it, and it feels worse.
By the way, you know, when you hear 100, a lot of people charge much more than that. Canada charges much more than that to our farmers, our dairy farmers.
Yeah.
Many, many people charge.
That's why I'm saying it.
Much more than 100 or 125 in this case. But I don't, you know, it's still a significant number. I don't see that again.
On the investigations.
Yeah, Mr. President. So do you think some of your tariff critics would prefer, you know, to see the United States go through turmoil than to actually see it succeed just because they are your policies?
Yes.
You mean just leave the tariffs the way they are now and just relax, right? Some people have said that. Look, again, we're making...
Yeah.
It'll be soon much more than $2 billion a day. That's not the worst thing that I've ever heard. So, yeah, some people say that. But, you know, we look at the other side, too. I think as the United States, we have an obligation to look also at the other side. We want what's good for everyone. I mean, it's America first, but we also want to make sure there's.
We're gonna
a
help
world
everybody
that can
out.
Live
Look
and
how
live
kind.
happily
See?
and all of that. And
Wow.
So, this
What a
is
nice
no,
guy.
but there are people that say, look, where we are now. I've been in worse positions in my life than making $2 billion a day plus, right? It's really plus. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad.
Man.
Thank you.
Or the markets are what really changed your mind when it came to
The markets right now are extremely good. Thank you.
What a
Thank you.
surprise. He made an exception to answer a question about how well he's doing. Wow. Wow. What a dude. Who could have expected
There you
that?
have it, nearly
That's
an hour
crazy.
of
Wow. What are
question
the
and answers,
odds?
As we also saw President
so
Trump
basically,
sign several executive orders answering a lot of
let me get this straight.
Civilian structure complete.
The tariffs were a vibe. The negotiations are a vibe.
Civilian structure complete.
Getting rid of the tariffs was a vibe. The countries you're going to negotiate is also somehow a vibe. Man. Go back for the bacon joke? Okay, I'll see if I can find it on Twitter. Give me a second.
Sir, so the Senate confirmed Governor Huckabee to be your next ambassador to Israel earlier today. That's his commission as ambassador. And then we also have a transmittal letter to the president of Israel requesting that he accept Ambassador Huckabee's credentials.
He's going to be fantastic. He's going to bring home the bacon.
And then
Even though bacon isn't too big in Israel.
It's just the third
I
letter.
had to clear that up.
Oh my fucking god. Holy shit, guys. All right. Well, there it is. So the vibe he got today was total economic collapse from bond market implosion. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, apparently, are we on a good path? I think this is probably a good idea. I mean, if he's able to negotiate deals that are better for us, then I feel like we're better than before the deals. Doesn't that make more sense? Yeah.
We are listening. Sacrifice begun. The Unity's needs have changed. Exotics have been unveiled by our squires.
Opposite effect. The entire
Okay, so this is the 90-day pause on some tariffs. This literally just happened.
The world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher. Elena, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Treasury Secretary Bessent. Can you explain more of the decision making on what feels like a reversal here? I think just these went into effect less than 15 hours ago, these tariffs. Why the pause now? What led to that?
Again, President Trump created maximum negotiating leverage for himself, and which tariffs went into effect.
Well, it's pretty obvious that, like, if the people that are coming to the table to negotiate, it would make sense if you're going to negotiate, he would give them a pause so there's like an incentive for them to negotiate, right? So like it's positive for them and it creates a reward structure around doing it. It's like if you kiss the ring, you're not going to have all of your crops burned. Like, I mean, this is what literally like barons did 1,000 years ago. I mean, is this really a fucking surprise?
Defense upgrade complete.
It's a ceasefire in trading. It is. He caved. He didn't cave. They did. And the thing is that how is it caving when these people have come to negotiate the deals? Like, I don't understand why. How are they saying that he's caving? I'm confused. Well, yeah, I don't understand what they mean by that. A tariff ceasefire? Yeah. That's basically what's happening. Exactly.
Civilian structure.
Yeah, I don't understand how his tactics are so hard to understand. Yeah, I feel like it's very simple. Yeah, it's the same as, like, you know, Russia and Ukraine, while they're trying to negotiate a peace deal, they have a ceasefire. Like, this is very common. Of course this is what happens. The media's trying to play Trump as well. I went caving yesterday, prediction mobs. Yeah, anyway, what is this here? I'll read a few of these. Thanks, bro. You can make up more. Bro, can you make up more excuses? Well, what do you? Well, I'm just really confused by what you mean by this. So, like, if they're going to negotiate the tariffs, then that's not really caving, right? I don't know. It doesn't seem like that to me. How does that make any sense? It's one way to reward trade negotiations. Yes, exactly. I don't even get this. What do you mean by this? Everyone wanted to discuss before this retard imposed self-destructive taxes? Well, let me see here. It's not caving. He rewarded our allies and punished China. That's what it seemed like to me, too.
Research rate upgrade complete.
So there's no... there's no response, right? Yeah, I don't understand. People did strategies like this. They did stuff like this 1,000 years ago. This isn't new at all. What do you mean? Like, I mean, are people really so blind that they can't see such an obvious play? It's common, yes, of course.
Hours ago, the ones that we have lowered went into effect a week ago. They were announced a week ago, and we have just been overwhelmed by the response from mostly our allies who want to come and negotiate in good faith. So we are expecting them to come with their best deal. As I said a week ago today, don't retaliate, hold your ground, let's see what happens. And China, they kept escalating and escalating, and now they have 125% tariffs that will be effective immediately.
Mr. Secretary,
go ahead.
So China's tariffs are now up to 125%. I feel like this is probably, like, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, like, I think this is what he planned on doing the whole time. And, or at least this was one possible, you know, like, this was a, I would say that before they did this was a theoretical win condition. Because basically now, if you're only, because like, if you have tariffs on the whole world, right? It makes it harder for, like, it puts more pressure on your economy. But if you can use the tariffs as a negotiation tactic and then get everybody else to negotiate, pause those, and then focus all of your efforts on suppressing one country as hard as you can, which is what he's doing to China. I feel like that's clearly what he's trying to do, right? That's 100% what he's trying to do. And I think that was the plan all along, because in a lot of cases, like Vietnam and Japan and, you know, the United Kingdoms, like, these are not our trading enemies, really. It's China that he's viewing as a trading enemy. I think he's manipulating markets with his friends. Well, he's doing a really good job at it, I'll tell you that.
Exotics have
Secretary, thanks so much for doing this. The 90-day pause, is that because of the whiplash?
China can choke U.S. economy more than U.S. economy can choke them? Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Seeing across the financial market, how much was, you know, what we saw in the stock markets, you know, a part of this decision?
No, it's because it's going to, because of the large number of inbounds, we've had more than 75 countries contact us, and I imagine after today there will be more. So it is just a processing problem. Each one of these solutions is going to be bespoke. It is going to take some time, and President Trump wants to be personally involved. So that's why we're getting the 90-day pause.
It just takes time, yeah, sure.
There was a tweet that you and Secretary Blinken were in the Oval Office with the president talking about this. Can you talk about what that conversation was like and what you guys said to one another that was?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all, bro.
It's all the president's decision, and the president had a level in mind to raise the China tariffs.
This guy Bessett broke the British pound back in the day. He knows how to kill another country's currency. We're China's biggest importer by far. We are the buyer, and their economy is based off selling as much as possible. This guy explains it on Tucker's podcast 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, honestly, the whole time there were like in my opinion, I think Trump pretty much had two goals, right? To destabilize European trading and make them less concerted in their efforts to be able to collectively negotiate against the United States, and also to weaken China, just in a general sense.
And
like,
then
those, I think those are his goals.
Essentially, the 3-month pause in mind, and we were discussing the exact wording. Sorry? Of course.
It's the president's decision.
It was the president's decision. It was the president's decision to wait
Man,
until today. And again,
you're good, man.
As I've said in the past, no one creates leverage for himself like President Trump.
Mr. Secretary. Shelby, go ahead. Secretary, what does the president want to see by this, I think it's July 9th deadline to keep things paused? Is it just trade barriers coming down, or is it more than that?
Well, these are trade negotiations, but if countries want to come and offer other things, I talked about yesterday that we are thinking about a big LNG project in Alaska that South Korea, Japan, Taiwan are interested in financing and taking a substantial portion of the offtake. But again, in essence, that is trade because it will decrease the trade deficit that we have with those countries. So everything's on the table.
Raquel.
Yeah, I feel like, am I crazy that, like, after, and this is not really a good thing, but the way that Trump does negotiations, it really seems, is like the way that they do in movies. Where it's like, if you do this, or we're going to kill your family, or you do this, or we're going to bomb this country, or bomb something, right? It's basically like what he does is he pretty much goes and he is as extreme and brutal as possible, and it scares people. It's a mafia tactic, and I bet he did this in real estate. I bet he's done this with other people. And yeah, it's a power dynamic. It is. And the thing is that it's intimidating people. It is. And the thing is that it works. It does work. That's why the people that did it back in the days, everybody still knows their name. It's because they were so brutal and so good at doing this that they killed anybody else who went against them. That's it. It can backfire? Yeah, I know. He did it with Vince McMahon in WWE. Well, just look at the TikTok deal, mafia tactics as well. Yeah, I think the TikTok deal is a great example of that, where he basically says, we're going to ban this unless you allow it here. And its value is only derived on it being allowed here. So we're pretty much holding your company hostage until you give us your company. That's basically what he's saying. Or sell it off so we can control it. That's it. And like, you can say that it will backfire. Okay. All right, we'll see what happens. It's dumb not to leverage America's global power in negotiations. Yeah. 6 bankruptcies? You understand that actually helps my argument, right? A lot of people declare bankruptcy as a financial get-out-of-jail-free card to an extent with businesses. They do it to leverage debts in different ways. They do it to remove certain levels of accountability. There's a difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 11 bankruptcy on like a personal level too. This happens all the time. This is, again, like I think Trump is a scammer. Like, he knows every fucking scam that you can do. Like, that's it. And I guarantee you, like, in the same way that Trump, this is what people accused Trump of whenever he was a real estate agent. He said, basically, I'm not going to pay you for the work that you did, but too bad, and if you want to try to sue me for it, I'm going to beat you in court and cost you hundreds of millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and like, maybe you'll win, maybe you won't, right? And so that's what he did. And by the way, that's a bad way of doing things, right? That's very, very bad. But at the same, he's a con man. He is. He is. But the thing is that, of course, people are going to be in favor of that if you have that person that's advocating on your behalf. Great presidential candidate instead. Well, I'm telling you, like and for him, it worked. He's a fucking billionaire.
A clarification on the 10% on the pause. What happened to those countries who just had 10% baseline tariffs, like Brazil and others? Are they still going to have this 90-day pause? Because you were saying that there will be a tariff of 10% for others. So what happened to those who just had a 10%?
Yeah, that's going to remain.
And do you call this an embargo to China?
Pardon?
You call this an embargo to China, a trade embargo?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by the word embargo.
125% tariffs, like those, and then impose 84%. Is it an embargo?
Well, it's not. It's China's decision that we have the deficit with them. They sell us almost 5 times what we sell them. So again, I think it's an own goal by China.
Mr. Secretary, Meredith. Secretary, does this signal that you're confident that you're going to be able to strike
it signals that
That's a
President
lot.
Trump cares about
That's a
trade
lot to do.
and that we want to negotiate in good faith. And as I said, each one of these is going to be a separate, bespoke negotiation. So we are confident that having seen the other side of where this could go, and it was like I said last week, the market didn't understand those were maximum levels. The countries can think about those levels as they come to us to bring down their tariffs, their non-tariff trade barriers. We're going to discuss currency manipulation, subsidy of labor, and
people have criticized China for manipulating the currency forever. Like, I remember hearing about this 15, 20 years ago.
Industry.
Secretary, as far as you, will the pause also apply to the sectoral tariffs that the president has announced, pharma, lumber, anything else?
No, it's on the reciprocal.
Mr. Secretary, as far as the negotiations with the 75
Andrea, go ahead.
I haven't seen it.
He doesn't even look at it? Uh-oh.
What?
The market should do as you command, right? You know, there's been a lot of volatility in the market.
Yeah, it's going down massively.
In terms of stock markets, but also in terms of bonds. So will this in your mind?
We are stronger now.
Well, I think what
Is
we've
green
seen,
now? No, I'll pull it up after this.
I think the willingness by more than 75 countries to come and negotiate, I think now the market understands that everything they saw last Wednesday was a ceiling, and now we have a 10% temporary floor, and I think the market, my 35 years in the market, I always wanted certainty, so I think we've got more certainty.
But Mr. Secretary,
Maggie, go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, why do people assume this is the last word? The president began this morning saying, be cool. 5 hours later, he announces a new policy. Why will investors in the market assume that this is it?
That's a good question.
Because, again, as I said, we've given 90 days, and the only certainty we can provide is that the U.S. is going to negotiate in good faith, and we assume that our allies will too. And
No thoughts on the midterms? I think it really depends a lot on this. This is a pretty big factor. And so, like, if Trump can do this and come out ahead, I think that it will make all of the Republicans look good that stood behind him and were supportive of it. I feel like this is a very, very big component.
in terms of certainty,
that's what I would say.
We will see what China does, but what I am certain of, is that what China is doing will affect their economy much more than it will ours, because they have an export-driven, flood the world with cheap export models, and the rest of the world now understands, because when we put up our tariff wall, those exports were already flowing to the rest of the G7 and to the global south.
And you think Mr. Secretary, how much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with China selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday,
right.
and this was his strategy all along, and that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
What's your message?
I think that's probably true. Because now that the other countries aren't being tariffed for a while, that gives Trump the stronger ability to focus more on China. Because it will have like less of an impact on the economy if we're only tariffing one country versus all of them. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, of course. And it also rewards other people that end up coming to the table.
Mr. Secretary, these negotiations with these 75 countries, how long will that take? Will it be a matter of weeks? Will it be a matter of months? Do you expect financial markets to be stable during that time period?
Well, we started with a 90-day pause, and we will see if more countries turn up, what will happen. But we have a meeting with Vietnam today.
I think that they will. And if he's able to negotiate better trade deals for the U.S. through these other countries, and then the remaining countries don't negotiate a trade deal, Trump has more leverage to exercise stronger and harsher punishments on those countries. It's basically like you have like a set amount of punishment that you can allocate. And if you can allocate that punishment to just a handful of people, you can totally crush them. So by getting certain amounts of people to come to the table, you effectively take the pressure off of yourself.
Harmony research complete.
It's a teaser for punishment for them? Yeah, it is. Do you hear yourself? Is this inaccurate? I feel like this is very accurate. I mean, that's what makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Hey, guys, maybe I'm totally wrong. But, like, this is just what makes sense to me. Who's coming to the table? The 75 countries that Trump says are spamming him to fucking negotiate and talk. And of course they're going to negotiate deals that are more advantageous to us. I mean, obviously.
And we have one of the largest trade deficits with them, so I'm hoping it will move in a good direction. I was at the Japanese ambassador's house last night for the Cherry Blossom Festival, which was quite festive, and he and I had a good chat. They are going to send a deal team over, so we'll see. These are complicated negotiations. These are imbalances that have taken decades to create, but I think having seen the maximum level that Donald Trump is willing to go to, President Trump has created this negotiation.
I don't think that people know the level that he's willing to go to. This is one thing that I think a lot of people, especially like internet people, might not understand, is that, and this is another issue with China, is China is, I think, kind of the same as Trump, is that they have no problem, Trump has no problem doing something that's absolutely fucking insane and brutal if he thinks it's going to be beneficial. That's it, yeah. It's, and I think China will do the same thing.
Hostility research complete.
Leverage.
Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me. The secretary is obviously a very busy man. As he has said, he's had more than 75 countries that the trade team has to respond to. I'd just like to end with this. For decades, Republicans and Democrats have said that these unfair trade practices are ripping off the American people, are ripping off our country, but nobody has ever done anything to address it. We finally have a president here at the...
Somebody goes, who are you to punish anyone? The people with the bigger stick. What do you mean? Duh. That's the law of the fucking jungle. What do you think?
White House, who is playing the long game, who is doing what is right for the American worker and our industries here at home, and he has put together a fantastic team in Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lustnick, the entire trade team who will be focusing on negotiating these good deals to put the American workers first, and we're going to get to work to do that. Thank you.
What about the EU? What about the EU? They retaliated this morning. Why
yelling,
are they treated like China?
She yelling, yep. And so this is another comment. I'll read this comment from this person. Do you really think China can't do damage to the U.S.? It's not about China doing damage to the U.S. It's about the U.S. being able to do damage to China and how much of that they can withstand and how much of their damage we can withstand. So anything like this, like if you get in a fight with somebody, you're probably going to get hit a few times. Like that's the way it happens. I mean, this isn't like fucking, you know, Devil May Cry where you just fucking flawless everything, you know, and you never take any hits. Like that's not what happens. It's not a Bruce Lee fight. Of course that's what's going to happen. Remember the Wolf Amendment? No, I'm not sure even what you're talking about. And then they'll fight back and kill the other guy. I think that Trump would not hesitate to do anything that would be beneficial for the U.S. I think that's really it. Trump is pacing. Yeah, the only HP that matters is the last one. Yeah, exactly. And China's been going on the edge of a crash much more than the U.S. is. Yeah. And we're essentially trading damage, but our health bar is bigger. Yeah, I think that's effectively what's going on too. And so, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. And they're pushing China to do business with other countries. Yeah. That's correct. Yes. And so they have to reorient their entire market. How are those other countries going to deal with that? What's going to happen? Yeah, obviously. Are those other countries going to buy what we're buying at the same rate that we're buying it? Probably not. Like, we're just realistically probably not, because if they were, they would have already been doing it to both of us. Because that would maximize the amount of money. So they're going to lose a ton of money on this no matter what. This is a huge loss for China? Yeah. Other countries aren't going to take up their shit, pull me up, this is my job. All right, sure, I'll pull you up. What do you got to say?
Structure complete.
Yeah, sure. What kind of country names himself after a pro wrestler? It's really dangerous for the U.S. This is a gamble? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, of course. Pull me up. I'm an internet expert. I don't know anything. Yeah, sure, right? Well, I'll at least hear what this random unverified expert on Twitch chat with no profile picture. You know, we'll go ahead. We'll see what he has to say about international trade. Dope. We're decoupling from China right now, essentially dropping all the tariffs today down to 10%. We have isolated China. Yes, obviously that's what's happened. Yeah, and I think this was a win condition for Trump all along. I mean, of course. Like, I mean, that's what I think would make sense. I mean, fuck. If I was him, that's what I would try to do. I mean, yeah, let's be honest, of course. Yeah, I agree with him. Yeah, technically other countries could sell more expensive stuff to the US and China could sell more stuff to them. Plus reselling with a bit of rebranding going on. Yeah, I mean, but of course they're not going to make as much money. The end result is they don't make as much money. And that's really the point. Yeah, obviously that's what's happening. And there's been a lot of people, like, I'll go ahead and I'll read and see if there's any more about this. But this is what Donald has said. And this is the big one. He came out with this on Truth Social. Can you just go back to Twitter, please? Based on the lack of respect that China has shown the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States to 125%. If you think that's the ceiling, it's not. Effective immediately, at some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, non-monetary tariffs, and these countries have not, and at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape or form against the United States, I haven't authorized a 90-day pause. See, this is exactly, bro, this is, again, fucking feudal lords did this.
Hostility research complete.
They said, we're going to give you all of your crops. If you don't give us half of your crops, we're going to come and burn all of your crops. This is how it is. And so, and we're going to kill, like, I don't know, 3 of your kids, just randomly. And so, basically, what he's doing, I think what he's doing is he's rewarding people that are willing to come to the table, kiss the ring, and negotiate a deal that's better for the United States. And when people see that, you're going to have the other remaining countries that aren't doing that, that now Trump has more leverage with them because he's not having to tariff the whole world. He can focus only on them, and then he can hurt them even more. And I think China is number 1 on that list. Because think about it, if Donald Trump has to tariff, the US has to tariff all of the EU, all of South America, all of China, and like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, fucking like India maybe, or like some other big importer. All of those together, it would be a lot harder to do that because you're fighting a battle on too many fronts. But if you can isolate the enemies that you have and the people that you're fighting, you can escalate the tension there a lot higher. And I think that's clearly what he's doing. And Zia's been in the game so long, I don't know, man. Well, so is Trump. I mean, they're like, I mean, they're both, I mean, I don't think either one of them are stupid. They're not stupid. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen even. I've authorized a 90-day pause and substantially lowered reciprocal tariffs during this period to 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention. And so, yeah, it's very clear.
The completion of this item makes us stronger.
Trump is hiking tariffs to China 125%. Yeah, this guy, he thinks actually 125% is too low. He's thinking about somewhere around 400.
What happens if we go into a full-scale trade war?
Look, it's really ugly. This president won the election based on reducing costs, but he's enacted the largest tax increase we've seen in over 50 years. And you know who's going to pay the price? Americans shopping at Walmart, Americans shopping at Costco. We don't know the purpose of these tariffs. The only thing we do know is he's planning on taking...
People don't know the purpose of the tariffs. They're obviously to negotiate better trade deals. How do you not know the purpose of them? He said the purpose of everybody, like, what?
Tax revenue from Americans paying more at Walmart and Costco and putting that into tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. It's totally gross, and it's putting us on the brink of a recession. could cost us tons of
I don't see how you can make an argument that this is beneficial for the wealthiest Americans when 90-something% of the stocks or something like that are owned by 8% of the population. So how is it that 8% of the population that are the richest people that have this massive amount of the stocks, how is this beneficial for rich people? I feel like, if anything, this is a massive L for rich people.
We are exiles no longer.
Manufacturing jobs as we get into this trade war. It's a really disturbing policy. I hope he backs off.
But Kevin, he said there's a lot of...
Is that an accurate number? Yeah, I mean, and also, like, well, here's a good way to look at it. If you look at the stock market and you see Tesla going up $200 after Donald Trump won the presidency, I don't see how anybody can tell me that stocks are real when Tesla goes up that much just because Donald Trump becomes the president.
All power to jump drive.
Really, it's a bullshit number to begin with.
Deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, you know, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating.
There it is. All right.
400%. I do business with
400.
China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never
World Trade Organization.
abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, why are you going to play against somebody who's map hacking? Why are you going to play against somebody who's aimbotting? If these people are going into, if they're going into the negotiation and they're just breaking the rules, then what the fuck are you going to do?
Of this item makes us stronger.
They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take
That's another thing. Yeah, exactly. See? Is there, people have no recourse in order to do anything when they get taken advantage of by China. You can't trust them? Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, like, what